there. Sunday night, happy Father's Day, and all present and accounted for. Lily Zhao, Brandon Cruz, Tim Van Vorn, flanked by these bright light colors here. It's summertime. Hot weather cranking it up in Milwaukee. Speaking of cranking it up, here's our starting lineup tonight. The Brewers keep finding a way and entertaining their fans. School's out for the summer or something like that for the Packers. A familiar face returns to the Bucks. A former high school hotshot goes to a familiar place. And our latest prep standout is setting an example through running. Good stuff all the way around right there. You'd have to say good stuff for the Milwaukee Brewers as well. They're leading their division. They're padding that lead as they go through a 4-2 week here at home. We've all been at the ballpark this week. Brandon, you were there today. 4-2, is everything clicking?
It's not clicking, but they're getting the wins. I mean, their offense hasn't been great. Today, their defense wasn't great, a number of errors, but overall, they're getting the wins because of either timely hitting, timely pitching. And the fact, I think, that they seem to step up for one another. One of the things that stood out, and it was quick to be mentioned by Pat Murphy after the game today, it's being unselfish. And we saw that with Christian Yelich being able to walk and set up a home run today by Willie Adames, which turns out to be a huge turning point of this game. If he doesn't walk, we don't have that 3-run homer. We don't know what happens because they were trailing. But he has that patience and that understanding of what he can do. And those kind of actions have translated throughout the week to give them 4 of their wins.
Little things within big games, and that's what you get results. So, Lily, the game today ended on a big singular play, though, and the Brewers needed to execute it on both ends to win the game over the Reds.
Yeah, they certainly did, and it was from a guy that, 2 days ago said he was trying to win the game, trying to be the hero, but the Brewers fell to the Reds. That was Blake Perkins trying to bunt in that situation, but today he gets redemption. I mean, he had a phenomenal throw. He finds William Contreras, and the guy gets cut down at the plate. And fortunately, that was kind of the big play of the game, right? That's what ends things. And, unfortunately, William Contreras a little shaken up there. But what a throw from Blake Perkins. He made another big catch in the 8th inning there. A line out there to rob Jonathan India as well. But his defense, I think, has really carried the Brewers in some of these wins. And his ability to make the big catch and also make the big throw and a big tag there from William Contreras. And I know he's being evaluated for a concussion, so it's good to see that he was able to get up. But you need those big plays from just any player, and Blake Perkins able to deliver today.
And real quick, though, he was walking around the clubhouse after the game. He did seem to be doing fine in there right after the game. So I want to make sure that's out there, that it's not as huge of a concern as they maybe thought in the moment.
And a big guy, pretty fired up at the time, Trevor McGill, the pitcher. He's there pumping his arm. He's been a big part of this at the back end of the bullpen. Fun has been a big part of it as well, though. This was certainly a fun weekend at the ballpark. They were paying tribute to Bill Schroeder for his years as the TV analyst on Friday night, and on Saturday, Saturday was Snoop Dogg out there. He gets to visit the broadcast, but you have to take a little listen to Snoop Dogg after he threw out the first pitch.
Oh, he gone. He took that. Get up in there. He took that. Give him that. Give him that. Where to go eat? Go eat. 22 eating right now. He's showing off for his uncle right now. All right, nephew. All right, all right. That's my nephew down there.
Who's ever going to contradict Snoop Dogg? It added to the spice of the weekend.
It was maybe the biggest story of the week for the Brewers, and it was just a visit from this guy that is an icon, and everybody in the clubhouse clearly loved having him there. You had Quentin Berry, who normally catches the first pitch, being told initially he wasn't going to do it, and they trick him and bring him out and allow him to have that moment. Snoop then FaceTimes Bob Uecker. I mean, he really made that appearance a huge moment for this team, and it was being talked about all day there today. I thought that was fun. And this was a week of moments, though. If you think about it, okay, so we had Snoop Dogg there on Saturday. You had the play at the plate to end the game today. You had the whole thing there for Bill Schroeder on Friday. You had the bat stuck in the net on earlier in the week with the Blue Jays here. I mean, every night it seemed like there was a moment to be had, and the Brewers come away with 4 wins.
Let's go back to that Blue Jays series. Another 2 out of 3 for the Brewers. They've won 7 straight home series now with some interesting events in those series, but obviously good baseball, particularly at home as well.
Yeah, and they're finding ways to win, right? This team is never one that, they can get down in a ball game, but they're never out, right? They're able to kind of put together lots of big runs, especially in those later innings, and that was important to see. And, the Blue Jays, they were in an, I think 0 for 24 hole in terms of runners in scoring position. opposition in that series against Toronto. But luckily, the Brewers had one big inning that they were able to really kind of find a way to win. And you're able to see this Brewers team win in different ways, right? You're playing small ball. Your bullpen is stepping up. Guys are just finding ways to get on base and to score runs. And that's what's important with this team is they don't just rely on one way to win a game. And I think we kind of saw a lot of that come to fruition in that Blue Jays series.
And the speed. We've talked about it all season long, but you definitely saw it this week. And some of the guys that we're seeing in the highlights right here are the main men.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bryce Terang, he's big in terms of stealing bases, and that's what you needed there to jumpstart a Brewers scoring run. William Contreras, Willie Adames. I mean, everybody kind of doing their part, but just finding ways to run the bases, I think, has been one of the biggest advocates for this Brewers offense in terms of finding ways, again, to generate those runs.
And they're at the top there, Brandon, because of even a guy like Churio can move it, and Yelich is moving pretty well right now, and Blake Perkins, we talked about him.
Yeah, and the thing that they do is they just put pressure on that defense. If you look at today's game, you had a stolen base, a bad throw, and all of a sudden Bryce Terang's on third base. He ends up scoring. It's one of those things that they do so well is make that defense have to watch and pay attention, and they cannot have a misstep because it leads to Brewers runs, and that's Pat Murphy baseball. Period. I mean, he has these guys making sure that they have the other team uneasy at all times.
Uneasy at all times. Speed. We could be talking about the Green Bay Packers. Hey, yeah, mandatory minicamp wrapping up in Green Bay this week. Now it's a little vacation time for those guys. They are coming back for training camp on July 22nd. Lily, what's your takeaway? How's that?
I like this team, right? Again, a lot of guys were at mandatory minicamp with the exclusion of 3 veteran players, but they were excused. And I think this is a fun team, right? The vibes are high. Guys are talking about that. And I think a lot of attention, obviously, is being put on Jordan Love and what that contract extension will likely look like. And, again, the timeline of when that will happen, likely before training camp. But I do like the fact that he is there. He is present. He is, doing his reps. And he's really happy that, they have a collection of receivers that can kind of be the number one guy whenever they're called upon. You're seeing that relationship grow. Again, just trying to figure out the starting offensive line as well. A lot of formations there as well. But I like the vibes, Tim, of this group. And you were there, for all of this. So kind of what was your vibe of all the guys in the locker room?
It is positive, no question about it. Legitimate, palpable confidence, optimism. I remind people, as of Christmas last year, late in the season, they barely beat the Panthers, and there were questions about the team. So you can't automatically say everything went right last year, and they're just trying to improve upon it. By the same token, the playoff run, the legitimate win over the Cowboys, the strong performance in San Francisco, definite building blocks. I mentioned the speed, Brandon. That's where they can be a different team this year, particularly defensively. And we look at those defensive backs. All of a sudden, there are a lot of guys pushing for roster spots.
Well, and that's what I think is so fun about what we've been watching in these offseason workouts and programs, the fact that there's a lot of competition there, and you have a new defensive coordinator who is really good in that aspect of the defense in particular. So you see this, and you have guys coming out and saying, okay, this is my opportunity because there's nobody that's really locking down these jobs. Yes, Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney, those guys have those jobs. But there are other opportunities, and everybody in there seems to realize, wait a minute, this could be mine if I keep doing this right, or if I keep doing that. And I show Jeff Hafley and Matt LaFleur exactly what I can bring to this table. So to me, that's what makes this little time exciting to see which one of those guys goes home or wherever he is to go to get more work done and show up a step ahead come training camp.
I agree with you. Take a side step or a back step, you'll lose a lot of ground here in traction because there are other guys in that mix, no question about it. What is the concern when you're off for 5 weeks? Lily, you worked in Green Bay for a long time, and it's vacation, but it can't be just a complete getaway.
Right. There still has to be work done, right? You don't want to show up to training camp and not have worked out at all. You don't want to have not studied the playbook. But I think just for the Packers, it's don't injure yourself. Don't do anything that'll put you in the headlines, right? Just kind of keep calm, get some rest, relaxation in, and continue to work and put the work in. I think a lot of guys want to just be in better shape when they do come back for training camp because, as we all know, the pads come on during that time, and that's going to be a really good period of evaluation for Matt LaFleur and his staff to see who makes the final 53-man roster. So, again, while they're getting away, some guys are going on vacation. I think there was a thing of A.J. Dillon running the stairs at Lambeau, and Keyshawn Nixon was saying, go on vacation, man. Guys will get their times off, but again, again, it's still not a time to kind of lag. They still have to do some work.
AJ just has to go to Door County to get away from it, though. He doesn't have a lot of travel plans in there. Keyshawn Nixon used to play for Snoop Dogg back in the day, the youth football, so everything ties back together. Brandon, as we watch some of this video here, we are reminded, camp starts early this year, July 22nd, because the season starts with the Brazil trip. You've got 2 road games in the preseason. You're doing joint practices. There's a ton ahead of this football team.
There is, and they can't get ahead of themselves thinking, oh, everything's so great because of how well the OTAs and minicamp went. They have to realize that there is a big demand coming up right when they step onto that field on July 22nd. And the fact is, it's going to come quick. I mean, I bet you this break is going to race by for them. And then once they get going and get into that rhythm and realize how fast this season comes along and what that means, there's no time to look aside and think of something else. It's all about what's ahead. So get a nice little break, but always continue your work. We'll see what happens.
We will indeed see what happens. The expectation's very high for this Packers team, pretty high for this Badger football team as well. And the UW program receiving another commitment. This one from receiver Eugene Hilton Jr. You're saying, I recognize that last name maybe? Well, yeah, he's the son of former Colts Pro Bowl receiver T.Y. Hilton. Hilton Jr., 3-star prospect. He's in the 2025 class, announcing his commitment on Instagram Live. He's the 3rd highest ranked member of the Badgers' upcoming class. Young talent coming into the program. The Badgers hoping that they're going to be an interesting team to watch this fall, and they are going to get a quick start on things as well. We're going to roll right along with Say What in the Fox 6 Sports Blitz around the corner.
Do I vote? I don't even know if I vote for her.
You really want to ask that question out of the gate?
I just like getting people's attention with something.
My significant other thinks he's sexy, so.
Wow. That was interesting. Was that Taylor Swift?
When you get this offer to play Doc Rivers, what do you think of right away?
Who's Doc Rivers?
Wait, you didn't know who Doc Rivers was?
No idea who Doc Rivers was. I told you I'm not a sports fan.
Lawrence Fishburne, now a sports fan, loves Doc Rivers. He's going to be at every Bucs game, right?
Yes.
Well,
I'm glad he's in our archives. Lawrence Fishburne. I wasn't sure that would ever be possible. Now he's in the Fox 6 Sports Blitz archives.
And good for him, though, owning it. I didn't know who he was. I'm just an actor just trying to play a role. But one thing the Bucs do know is Darvin Ham. He was with them during their championship in 2021, 4 seasons as an assistant here under Mike Budenholzer, leaves for the Lakers for 2 years, gets fired. Now he's coming back. How does that help this team?
Well, he has head coaching experience, very popular with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They dismissed Josh Oppenheimer in the offseason, who had a relationship with the Antetokounmpo family. So Darvin Ham there helps on that level as well. Familiar face, very popular in Milwaukee, definitely a respected NBA coach. And eventually you could envision Doc Rivers moves into a president of basketball operations type role, and then you have an heir apparent as your head coach on staff.
When you see him coming back, how does that affect the players?
I think it just gives them a very experienced staff, right? We saw the turnover with Adrian Griffin kind of bring in his own guys, and now that Doc Rivers is in charge, he kind of retools his coaching staff. There are a lot more veteran guys who has a head coaching experience. I think that'll be kind of big in terms of figuring out the season, because again, I mean, the pressure is on this Bucs team to get to an NBA final and win a championship. So how do you kind of navigate the ups and downs of an NBA season? Well, it helps when you have veteran coaches on your staff. So I think Darvin Ham, a very trusted voice, a very veteran voice as well, I think really helps Doc Rivers and his staff.
If he could bring some young players with him, that'd help.
That'd be great.
But he had that same problem in L.A. Okay, now talking about young players, then the draft is nearing here. They don't always have a lot of draft picks. This year, they don't have a lot, but how important is that for this team?
They have a first-round draft choice. You're talking about maybe drafting a defensive wing player. It looks like they could use that, some young energy, an energetic type player off the bench. That seems like maybe they could get that where they're picking to add to Andre Jackson Jr. maybe building off last season, that sort of thing. You're not going to get a difference maker where the Bucs are this year. And if you've heard of half of the top 10 picks, you are a heck of a basketball fan.
It's amazing how it gets different every year with the NBA. It's no longer where the top 25 guys that go. Well, we'll see where John Horst goes, but right now he has this team trying to turn things around. We'll see how they buy in coming to this season. Well, it is a big weekend in the return to the Midwest for a Franklin native and former Fox 6 high school hotshot. Sam Mayer winning the Xfinity Series Hy-Vee Perks 250 in Iowa on Saturday. It's his second win of the season, 6th of his career. Coming up, we'll introduce you to this week's high school hotshot who competes on a much different track.
Welcome back. He's been able to stand where few have before him, and his appreciation for his family is the driving force behind his success. And that's why he is this week's Fox 6 high school hotshot.
What's happening, everybody? My name is Joseph Cannon, graduate of 2024, and I'm here representing Rufus King Track and Field. This is where everything started, friendships, family bonds, everything. This is where I built my legacy. I only played 2 sports. I did football and track. Football 2 years, track all 4. My dad used to tell me he used to play football. I kind of was like, you know what, why not try it? I fell in love with running back because everything about it was just fun, like the footwork, the juking, and I had the speed for it. And then I ran track too because my dad, when he was younger, people used to tell me stories about him. He would get people from all over the neighborhood to come and race him. So at some point I was like, okay, I think I can do it better. We're a competitive family, but it's fun, build memories. I'm glad I can have the last name Cannon. It's been a while since any MPS student has made it on the podium for like an individual event. Nobody in my family has done it, and I'm blessed to rock the Rufus King. I think, in my opinion, I make that white uniform look great. The next 2 years, I will be attending Indian Hills Community College to develop. Then after those 2 years, I will be trying to go off to my dream school, LSU. It's a big mountain to climb, but it's possible. And I know with my work ethic, I know I'll be able to get there. The goal is to be an Olympian. I like the underdog story of being able to go to a college and then they'd be like, man, where is he from? Wisconsin. I'd be like, oh, I'm okay with dreaming that big because I know I can get there. Yeah, I know it would be nice for my parents to say, yeah, I got a son, he's an Olympian. When I'm running that fast, honestly, I don't notice anything when I'm running. I don't hear anything. It's like tunnel vision. I don't really see anybody. I just run. By the time I cross the finish line, I'm like, oh, it's already over. Hi, everybody. My name is Joseph Cannon. I'm here representing Rufus King, graduate, and I am a silver medalist in the 100-meter dash in the state of Wisconsin. I am this week's Fox 6 high school hotshot.
What an inspirational story. And also this weekend, Joseph competed in the Wisconsin Junior Olympic Outdoor Championships. He finished second in the 200-meter and first in the 100-meter, setting a personal record in the process. And then in July, Joseph will also compete in the National Junior Olympic event as well. Good luck. Meanwhile, Championship Saturday wrapped up on the pitch at Eline Soccer Park. Champions were crowned. The Mosquito Girls pulling off a three-peat. They beat Kimberly in the Division I state title game. This is the Warriors' 4th overall state championship. Then in Division IV, Cedar Grove, Belgium, capping off an undefeated season by winning its first state title in program history. They beat the Prairie School. Rocket star Cora Erickson put up a hat trick. Meanwhile, Whitefish Bay earning runners-up honors in Division II, while Catholic Memorial did the same in Division III. The baseball season also wrapping up earlier this week. Kenosha St. Joseph was our one local team playing in the state championship game. They finished runners-up in Division III after a 6-4 loss to Aquinas, coming up just shy of a 5th program title. And former Fox 6 high school hotshot Elise Hoven is this year's Wisconsin Women's State Open champion. The Cedarburg grad prevailed by 3 strokes at Meadowbrook Country Club in Racine. All right, we'll be right back.
They are 13 games above 500 in the middle of June. It's time for them to go west, young men.
Yeah, it's the California Adventures. They open up 3 games in Anaheim tomorrow night against the struggling Angels.
And then the Brewers go to San Diego to take on the Padres for a 4-game set. And of course, that Game 3 on Saturday at 6:15 right here on Fox 6. You don't want to miss that game.
A couple of much higher payrolls. You don't hear that storyline much anymore. Is it still apt?
The way the Brewers play, I'd say not this season, and we'll see how it changes throughout time. But right now, I think no.
What about as the season goes along and some of these other teams, maybe the Cubs, try to add some extra talent to make a run at the Brewers who are dangling out there in front?
Right, and that could be where it comes into play, right? But when you're looking at these teams that do have higher payrolls, like the Mets, I mean, they're putting together a win streak here, which is positive for them. But maybe that does kind of help later in the line when they do want to acquire a player. But Brewers doing just fine right now.
And we are doing just fine with your company tonight. We appreciate it. We'll see you again next Sunday night on the Fox 6 Sports.